here we are, starting the Sonia. So that's what got voted, and I'm pleased with that. So the first thing we're going to do is follow the directions. And we are going to use our laser parts, and we're going to do these parts initially. So make like the formers. Rice is something like that. Is Polish, but I think that's like step one. But all these are very well marked, and they are labeled as such on the little laser cardboard as well. And everything fits really, really well. I mean, this is very self-explanatory. But I took all these pieces and cut them out, and it's very easy to do. And when you look on these, I hope you can tell, there's little numbers of what they are, and there's even little printed pieces that show you where other formers actually go. They're really nice. And then you usually go through, at least I do, and sand off the little nubs, because as you cut these out, if you've done anything, any kind of laser cutting with wood or anything else, you'll notice that there's these little tiny little chits, little bits of material, and you just got to kind of cut them like that, like pop, pop. There's like 3 or 4 of them to hold something in, and then they drop right out, but you still got to go back and kind of sand them down. So I just started by test fitting, and you're just looking at the directions and seeing what goes together, and you notice where things fit, and then you start applying glue appropriately. So this is going to be, for instance, the floor, the initial floor in the front cockpit, I believe. Fits like a charm. I mean, these are all pieces, of course, that you would cut out ordinarily, and that works beautifully. And here I'm applying a little bit of glue where parts are going to match together. And I have cut out parts like this with my own, and I usually use wood in preference to using cereal box cardboard or something, which is traditional. However, this does, it's kind of cheating, I guess, but man, it makes it nice. It really makes it quite enjoyable. Put these together. I got plenty of models that don't have the laser pieces, but again, since I'm going to be building that Vespa, I decided, do a couple that are actually really fun and relatively simple and pretty and cool, and that helps to have these little parts. So put together, making sure everything is straight, and I decided if I put some of these round formers on, that'll lock everything in place. But you can see how everything fits just so. Very well designed. You basically hardly have to test fit. It's a good idea anyway. But it's a matter of just basically putting glue where everything's going to come together and touch, and then going ahead and putting the piece on, sort of snapping it in place almost. They're so nicely designed. And when you do snap them into place, sometimes a little extra glue gooshes out, and I just take a little bit and I take the little my little tool there and sort of get rid of the excess glue. What I'm especially concerned about is making sure there's no glue on these flat surfaces, because on all these flat surfaces, like that floor and some of the bulkheads we're going to put in, those are going to be covered with paper that is actually, that's supposed to look like the floor or the edge of a bulkhead. So that'll look really, really cool when it's done. But I wouldn't want to have any blobs of cement, any glue stuck on there. So I make sure when I do put these in that if they're parts that are going to be covered with paper overlaid, that they're smooth. And so as long as you do that, you shouldn't have any problem at all. And so I go ahead and put these more glue down. And sometimes I don't plan well. Sometimes when you look at the parts and they have the extra burned pieces that show where other formers attach in the line, sometimes I end up putting them in upside down or inverted or something, so that like at the very end when I got through this, I think I probably put, for instance, the second floor here upside down. It doesn't make any difference, but now it doesn't show you where some other parts are supposed to go. it's not the end of the world because these things fit so well. You can figure it out for yourself, um, and they do fit very well. But there are a few times where I think I looked at it after I'm done. I'm like, oh, maybe I should have had it turned over, for example, to show where other pieces end up going. But the notches and things are the same. It doesn't make any difference. So the notches are what help you. But now that I put in a couple of those formers, now everything's kind of locked in place. Every once in a while, take a look at it and make sure, sight it down from one end like that. Because I'm trying to make sure it's straight. Because if this isn't straight and true, then the whole body's not going to be straight and true. And so, the goal here is to make something that's going to look really slick and not be full of bows and issues and problems. Because sometimes they are, especially when you cut your own stuff. Although this would have worked just fine, just a little bit tedious. And each of these pieces, again, all I'm doing is looking at the picture on top, and then I'm fitting these in, and they all fit very well. This one took a little bit of canoodling here. Well, that's the wrong word, I guess. Cajoling to get that in place. But it does. And once it goes in, then it's obvious how it's supposed to fit, and you've got a piece that looks really good. You just make a mental note of where the parts need to be glued, and then you go ahead and add glue. Once in a while, I add glue when I'm not supposed to, accidentally, and you can just wipe it off. No harm done. This is all very intuitive, and it's all very user-friendly. There's nothing you can do that's gonna completely destroy it and make it so it's ruined. That's not a thing. So, you can't mess this up really. I think you also could, if you wanted to, put these together, everything, and sort of snap it all together and get it strong. And then you could probably take something like very thin super glue and run it along all the joints. And that would, as long as everything's aligned, that would seep in and that would glue. And I think that would be another way to do this. Certainly with wood, you could do that. There, I'm not pulling off a little bit of glue there, because again, that's going to be a piece where you're going to look down into the cockpit, and that's going to be covered. So I don't want to have anything sitting up funny. I'll probably go back and sand down the little tongues that go in there just to make sure they're flush too. Then I fit the rear little, I guess the gunner's area back there, and you just start doing this. And so here, I'm just speeding it up because you're already falling asleep, and it's guaranteed. But I do want to show the whole process, and then I'll slow it down a little bit later. But you can see every once in a while I do take off a little extra glue that needs to be removed. This piece is like an L shape, and it locks together pretty nice. And then you just set it down like that, and it makes like a little box. And that's going to go on the very end at some kind of a step, I guess, for maybe where the gunner sits. Perhaps it'll be ammunition on there or a start of a radio. I can't really remember what it's going to be. I can't wait to put some of the interior stuff in. That'll be really cool. But you just keep doing this. Like that rear piece goes in really nice. A little bit of glue holds in nicely. And that actually is really straight. I sight it down, and you can twist it a little bit to make it even better, but it's actually really good. Now, there's a couple pieces in here where they have little steps on them right there. And then you put a little piece on like so. So it actually has a little spacer on it. And those go underneath on the bottom side. And I'm guessing those are going to be where spars are going to go. That's going to be probably where the wing is going to attach. See, they slip right up in there. And so it's important to get those right. Glue them in, make them solid, and put them in the right place. Because what you're going to do here is make a little space. When you put that in, there's a little space right there under my finger where that's going to go. And here I realized maybe I should put one in first to make sure I get it in solid, and then put the other piece on, which is a good idea. Because now it'll end up being flush and correct. So put in one piece at a time. Seems to make more sense. And then I slid this in just to test it. Seems to work. So then I added my glue where it's going to go. And then I go ahead and slide that piece in. And then the parts that are where those steps are, you can see I use some little tweezers and squeeze them shut. Make sure I got good glue adhesion. And then I do the same thing up here. There's another area that's like that, or near the back. I'm sorry, near the back. Where I think it'll probably be again where spars go. Then I decided to put in this last little piece. This is the part where I realized I put that back piece upside down because it fits fine. That little rib goes in there great. That former, tiny half former. But at the top, you can see there's a line where that would have given you a better idea where it's supposed to go. But again, doesn't really matter. Not a huge problem. So the second piece is where the other spar is going to go. And here I slow it down so you can see what's going on a little bit. Again, this is all, if you follow along this far, this is all very simple. And again, this is the very beginning. It's really exciting watching someone put cardboard together, cardboard that was previously cut out for them. But I think it's important to show the initial components. And the next thing we'll show is trying to put in all of the paper into here and building up the interior, which will be a blast. We'll do some additions and stuff. I got to do my homework and see what the airplane looked like on the inside. Although I have found that these kits, when they have an interior, it's dang close to the real thing. It's every bit as good as pick your favorite plastic manufacturer. They look really good. And when you look on the inside and you do find a picture of something, it's really close. So sometimes it takes some liberties, and maybe the paper and the cardboard or whatever isn't quite the fidelity of a resin insert or something, but still, I gotta say it's still extremely well done, and they're very convincing when they're done when they're finished. And this one's got not quite a major Japanese greenhouse, but there is a lot of window on this sucker, so it'll be really neat and easy to go in and see it. There I'm pinching those parts that have the standoffs that leave the slot, just making sure they're going to come in contact and give me a nice gluing surface. I push that in just to make sure it's spread out enough, but you can't really see it. But again, underneath there on those two spots, it's a slot that goes right through. And there it is. That's all the main components of that rear piece together. So it doesn't take long. In real life, it took me like, I don't know, 20, 25 minutes to do. And part of that's working around the camera and trying to show you some little things. And there I'm pointing out that those pieces are the next parts to go in. Those are going to be these. So this is where we're going to all the neat color and all that wearing and neat stuff. I might look and see if I can put some wiring and stuff here and there. But there's the beginning, and it's straight, it's true, and I can't wait to put the other colors on it. That's going to be really cool. So that'll be the next thing. And thank you for watching, and here we go.